After killing the brown-haired man, I gained experience, and a system prompt informed me that an additional reward would be given, uniquely developing the story by the Coat Stalio project. Exhausted, I did not pay much attention to the system, as I took a moment to catch my breath and recover my energy. The sheer fatigue weighed on me, but as I turned to look at the aftermath of my actions, the ground stained a deep, dark red. I was reminded once again that this was no dream. My mind replayed everything that had transpired, my first blink, my first battle, and my first time ever committing murder. Though unsettling, I understood that my survival had depended on it. Time waits for no one. It moves forward, indifferent to my struggles, and I had no choice but to keep going. I needed to leave this place. As I looked back at the corpses, a thought crossed my mind. I hesitated, knowing it would leave a bitter aftertaste, but in the end, I could not ignore my situation. I needed money. Rummaging through the bodies, I found a sack of gold worth 2 million credits, approximately 2 million won. It was better than nothing. The world preaches righteousness, but poverty whispers a crueler truth. Morals won't keep me alive. But now, a bigger problem stood in my way. I had to cross this cliff. Just then, a voice called out, "Is anyone there?" I turned toward the sound and saw figures in the distance with carriages. The thick snowfall made it difficult to see clearly, but I knew who they were. The group that appears after the tutorial is complete. "I am over here!" exclamation I shouted, spreading my arms to make myself visible, period. One of them asked if I could cross. I confirmed and told them I was on my way. A red-haired girl in the group turned to the others. "He says he will cross. We will wait for him." A timid blue-haired boy beside her hesitated. "Can he really make it? Crossing, that requires at least a third-class knight. And he looks way too young." The red-haired girl seemed uncertain herself, but as she turned back toward me, her eyes widened in disbelief. She watched as I moved swiftly across the floating stones, blinking from one point to another, as if teleporting. "Is he using a jumping-type magic?" "No," another voice corrected. "That is Blink." The speaker was a blue-haired young girl. The red-haired girl frowned. "Impossible. Blink is difficult to control. It is nearly impossible to manage both direction and distance at will." "How is he doing it?" Before they could dwell on it further, she spotted two figures emerging behind me. Her expression hardened as she turned to the group. "Are those two with him?" But before anyone could respond, one of the pursuers began chanting. A moment later, a fire spell shot directly toward my back. "Watch out!" the group of mages warned. Reacting instantly, I used Blink to dodge, barely avoiding the scorching flames. When I turned to see my attackers, I saw the last two pursuers standing at the cliff's edge, eyes filled with killing intent. This was bad. Blink had a 3-second cooldown, and in my current position, dodging magic without it was nearly impossible. I quickly scanned for the next floating stone I could use as a foothold. Just as I locked onto one, my senses flared a warning. One of the attackers had conjured a dark magic attack. The spell barely missed, but the force sent me hurtling backward. I lost my footing. I was falling. I couldn't let it end like this. My eyes darted around for anything to grab onto, but the floating stones were too far away. My cooldown was almost up. I clenched my teeth and timed it perfectly just before I hit the abyss. Blink activated. I closed the distance and managed to grasp a floating stone. "I survived," I muttered, staring down at the endless abyss below. But I had counted my eggs before they hatched. A fireball came speeding toward me. I had no time to dodge. This time I was going to die. Bracing myself for impact, I was caught off guard when another flash of blue magic shot through the air. The spell collided with the fireball, triggering a powerful explosion that cancelled both attacks. When the dust settled, I realized what had happened. The blue light wasn't just any spell. It was an ice spear infused with lightning. I was stunned. Someone capable of using dual attributes. In the tutorial, the other mages were just as shocked. Their eyes turned to the caster, the blue-haired girl. Even my pursuers were in disbelief. Their faces twisted with fear before they turned and fled without hesitation. Watching them retreat, I finally relaxed. I had survived again. I made my way to the other side, where the group welcomed me, though one person seemed uninterested. Before taking another step, I knew I had to acknowledge my savior. I must first thank the one who helped me stand. I didn't do it to receive your gratitude, the blue-haired girl replied, her voice cold as she turned away and headed toward the carriage. Her voice, it was the most beautiful I had ever heard, but she seemed difficult to approach. As I walked, I overheard the group discussing the pursuers. They are just bandits who pillage villages, one of them said. But in reality, most of their activities are carried out by the dark demon cult. That ends here, I thought to myself. As long as I escape and enter mage territory, the dark demonic humans will not be able to pursue me. More importantly, they have no idea who I really am. Then, the system appeared once more. Episode 2, Enrolling into Stellar Academy, has begun. At first I was relieved. It didn't seem too difficult. Then I reread the prompt. Academy. My entire body nearly gave up on me. I was in my late 20s before becoming Baekhyusol, and now I had to go back to school. My grades were about to hit rock bottom, like Snow White's movie reviews.